Imagine a world that existed long before cities, kings, or empires. A world where rivers carved the land, stars guided travelers, and the first whispers of civilization were only beginning to take shape. This is Sumer, the cradle of human history, a place that emerged along the fertile crescent of Mesopotamia, between the Tigris and Euphrates rivers. Here, the first signs of writing, government, and urban life appeared. Yet hidden beneath these remarkable achievements are stories of beings who may not have been of this earth. Before we begin this journey into ancient mysteries, take a moment to like this video, subscribe to Whispers of the World, and comment your country and the time. This helps the channel grow and allows us to continue bringing you deep dives into the past, all while you drift off into a calm, hypnotic state. Now, imagine Sumer as it once was, a landscape of marshes, rivers, and endless plains teeming with wildlife, yet sparsely populated by humans. Archaeologists believe humans had only begun forming settlements. They farmed the land, built simple structures, and worshipped gods whose presence seemed intertwined with the natural world. But there are accounts, found in the cuneiform tablets etched in clay, that hint at something far stranger. These ancient texts speak of beings who arrived from the heavens, beings who shaped the early course of humanity in ways we are only beginning to understand. Sumerian civilization is unique in many ways. They developed one of the earliest writing systems in human history, cuneiform. These wedge-shaped symbols, impressed upon clay tablets, were initially used for accounting, counting crops, livestock, and trade goods. But over time, these symbols evolved to tell complex stories, myths, epic tales, and histories of kings and gods. Among these writings, one figure appears again and again: the Anunnaki. The term Anunnaki roughly translates to those who from heaven came to earth. They are described not merely as gods in the conventional sense, but as beings with advanced knowledge, technology, and an unmistakable purpose. While mainstream history often interprets these accounts as allegory or mythology, a closer look at the Sumerian records reveals an intricate network of operations, instructions, and rituals that hint at activities far removed from the ordinary lives of humans. According to these ancient texts, the Anunnaki came to Earth seeking something precious. What that something was, scholars debate, but many suggest it was gold. Gold, in these stories, is not just a symbol of wealth. It is a substance with cosmic significance. The Sumerians described it as a divine material, capable of generating energy, used in rituals, and perhaps even in technologies that the human mind cannot fully grasp today. Some texts describe massive underground complexes where this gold was mined, refined, and transported, an industrial-scale operation in the heart of a world that had barely begun to understand agriculture or architecture. Archaeology gives us hints of what life might have been like in this early era. Excavations of Sumerian cities such as Ur, Uruk, and Eridu reveal advanced urban planning, walls, canals, temples, and intricate irrigation systems. Yet beneath the surface, literal and figurative, there may be remnants of deeper activities. Ancient mines, shafts, and tunnels across Mesopotamia hint that humans were not alone in these endeavours. Some researchers suggest these mining operations were far too sophisticated for early Sumerian society alone, implying guidance from something or someone more advanced. But before we dive into the evidence of mining, let us consider the worldview of the Sumerians. They believed the world was a living system, governed by divine beings whose presence influenced every element of life. They spoke of celestial cities, gods who descended from the sky, and knowledge passed down through sacred texts. These were not mere stories for entertainment. They were instructional guides, manuals, and historical records meant to be preserved for generations. To understand the Anunnaki, one must first understand the Sumerian lens, a reality where the divine and the earthly were intertwined, where the heavens dictated the course of human civilization. The cuneiform texts that survive today are remarkable in their detail. Many of the tablets describe not only events but sequences of work, rituals, and measurements. Some tablets mention the Great Mountain of Gold. Others speak of the deep shafts beneath the earth where the Anunnaki laboured. The precision of these descriptions is unusual. Unlike poetic myths, they often read like instructions or logbooks. Some tablets even list the names of supervisors, workers, and materials, suggesting a highly organized system. In addition to these records, myths such as the Enki and the creation of humanity hint at a collaboration or perhaps manipulation of human life by the Anunnaki. Enki, one of the principal deities, is often described as a figure of wisdom and foresight. He is said to have intervened when humans were created, granting them knowledge and guidance, possibly to assist in the labour required for mining and resource extraction. These texts raise questions. Were humans created as helpers, companions, or workers? Was civilization itself influenced by the needs of these celestial beings? Another fascinating aspect of Sumerian texts is their reference to advanced technologies. Some tablets describe tools that sound mechanical in nature, devices for lifting, measuring, or refining precious metals. While skeptics attribute these descriptions to metaphor or symbolic language, others argue that they could represent lost knowledge, technologies that existed before recorded human history and were later forgotten. Imagine for a moment a world where energy, metallurgy, and mining were guided by beings whose understanding of science surpassed anything humans could achieve at the time. The geography of Mesopotamia itself supports the idea of strategic placement for resource extraction. The land is rich with deposits of gold, copper, and other metals. Rivers provided natural transportation, and the fertile plains allowed human settlements to thrive near these resource sites. If the Anunnaki were indeed engaged in mining operations, it would make perfect sense to establish influence over these early human communities, guiding their labour and ensuring the extraction of what was deemed essential. As we continue this journey, it is important to recognize the dual nature of the Sumerian records. They are both mystical and practical, spiritual and logistical. The Anunnaki are described as gods, yet their activities are detailed in ways that suggest reality rather than myth. These ancient scribes may have been documenting what they saw, what they were instructed to record, or what was passed down to them from an earlier era. Either way, the legacy of these texts is undeniable. They provide a window into a time when the boundaries between the earthly and the celestial were not merely blurred, they were irrelevant. While much of the evidence is fragmentary, the patterns are clear. The Sumerians, in their earliest records, were aware of beings with power and purpose, whose activities extended far beneath the surface of the earth. The organization of labor, The emphasis on precious metals and the meticulous detail of the texts all point toward operations that are almost industrial in scale. This is not the casual mythic exaggeration of early humans. This is a record of systematic activity, a glimpse into a world we are only beginning to explore. Take a moment now to breathe deeply, relax your mind, and imagine the first cities rising from the marshes, the first tablets being inscribed by reed styluses on soft clay. Picture the Anunnaki descending from the heavens, guiding, instructing, and observing, while humans slowly learn the rhythms of labor, construction, and organization. It is a vision both majestic and unsettling. A world on the cusp of history, shaped by beings who may not have belonged to it. We have explored the context of Sumerian civilization, the appearance of the Anunnaki in ancient records, and the mysterious hints of underground operations. We have seen that these beings were not merely gods in the traditional sense, but were deeply involved in the earliest chapters of human development, influencing the course of history in ways that continue to echo today. As you listen, let the soft cadence of these words guide you, carrying you gently towards sleep, while your mind wanders through the rivers, plains, and ancient cities of Sumer. The story is far from over. Beneath the surface of this world lies a hidden network of tunnels, mines, and treasures, an intricate system built by hands perhaps not entirely human. In the next chapter, we will explore the arrival of the Anunnaki themselves, the beings from the heavens, their purpose, and the ancient texts that describe their descent onto Earth. Imagine looking up at the night sky in ancient Mesopotamia, where the stars seemed closer, brighter, and more mysterious than they do today. The early Sumerians, living along the fertile crescent between the Tigris and Euphrates rivers, spent their nights observing the heavens. To them, the stars were not merely distant points of light. They were the domain of gods, the markers of time, and the harbingers of destiny. Among these celestial beings, the most enigmatic were the Anunnaki, those who from heaven came to earth. The Sumerian tablets provide remarkable detail about their arrival. According to these texts, the Anunnaki descended from the heavens in what are described as great flying vessels, or sky chariots, landing upon Earth with precision and authority. They brought with them knowledge, tools, and a purpose that would soon shape the very foundation of human civilization. To modern readers, these descriptions might seem fantastical, yet the consistency across multiple tablets and locations suggests a persistent cultural memory of extraordinary visitors. Before we delve deeper into their activities, let us pause briefly. Take a slow, deep breath. Let your body relax and your mind settle. Remember to like, subscribe, and leave your country and time in the comments as we continue this journey together through history, myth, and mystery. The Anunnaki are often described as powerful, towering beings, radiant in presence, with authority over both the land and its inhabitants. They were considered gods, yet they were not distant deities. They were active participants in the affairs of Earth. In particular, the text described two major figures: Anu, the sky god and king of the Anunnaki, and Enki, a god of wisdom, water, and creation. Anu is said to have commanded from the heavens, while Enki worked closely with humans, guiding them and sometimes intervening in their development. The purpose of their descent, according to Sumerian records, was to extract precious resources from the earth. gold, in particular, held great significance. The texts speak of the mountain of gold and the subterranean fields, indicating that mining was not simply an activity, it was a mission. The Anunnaki required these resources perhaps for purposes beyond human understanding, whether for technological use, spiritual energy, or celestial trade. What is clear is that their presence on Earth was deliberate, organized, and sustained over generations. Cuneiform tablets describe the arrival of these beings with astonishing precision. In some records, the Anunnaki landed at specific geographic points chosen from their proximity to resource-rich areas. They built bases, organized teams of workers, and established protocols for extracting, refining, and transporting materials. These operations were vast and meticulous, far exceeding what early human societies could have managed on their own. Some scholars have noted that the descriptions of these activities are highly detailed, almost like industrial logs, recording the movement of materials, the names of supervisors, and the assignment of labourers. But who performed the labour? The text suggests that the Anunnaki initially worked alongside humans, instructing them, teaching them, and supervising their efforts. Over time, humans became the primary workforce, their tasks directed by the instructions of these celestial beings. The creation or modification of humanity is a recurring theme in the Sumerian myths. In particular, the Epic of Atrahasis describes the Anunnaki growing frustrated with the manual labour of mining. According to the story, they fashioned humans from clay and infused them with the breath of life, creating a species capable of performing the labour they required. The act of creating humans to work the mines is deeply symbolic and unsettling. It suggests that early civilization, rather than emerging naturally, may have been guided or even engineered by these powerful beings. The Sumerians describe this intervention not as a myth, but as history, a record of events that shaped their society, their rituals, and their understanding of the world. From this perspective, humanity's earliest achievements, agriculture, city building, and governance, may have been influenced by the needs of the Anunnaki and their underground operations. The texts also describe advanced tools and technologies used by the Anunnaki. They had instruments for measuring, refining, and transporting precious metals, some of which are described in ways that suggest knowledge of energy manipulation and engineering beyond human capability at the time. While skeptics attribute these descriptions to allegory or exaggeration, the precision of the records and their repeated references across different cities and time periods suggest that they may reflect real technologies. Technologies that humans observed, recorded, and later mythologized. Another remarkable aspect of the Anunnaki's presence is their organization of society. According to the tablets, they divided labor, established hierarchies, and monitored progress meticulously. They recorded events on clay tablets, creating a form of bureaucratic oversight that mirrors modern industrial operations. In many ways, they acted as both rulers and engineers, combining authority with practical management skills. For the Sumerians, these activities were not simply about survival. They were evidence of divine intelligence, a demonstration of power that transcended human understanding. The arrival of the Anunnaki also had profound spiritual implications. The Sumerians worshipped them as gods, attributing natural phenomena, Storms, floods, celestial alignments to their actions. Temples, ziggurats, and sacred rituals were designed to honor the Anunnaki, to appease them, and to gain their favor. In essence, religion and technology were intertwined. The acts of worship, the performance of rituals, and the organization of labor all reinforced a system that allowed the Anunnaki to achieve their goals while guiding humanity along a path that suited both divine and earthly interests. Consider for a moment the broader cosmic perspective. The Anunnaki are often associated with Nibiru, a mysterious celestial body mentioned in later interpretations of Sumerian astronomy. Some theorists suggest that the Anunnaki's presence on Earth was cyclical, tied to the orbital patterns of this planet. While modern astronomy doesn't confirm the existence of Nibiru in our solar system, the consistency of these accounts in ancient records cannot be ignored. The Sumerians clearly believed that these beings had come from the sky, that their arrival was planned, and that their departure would also follow a celestial schedule. As you listen, let your mind drift into the skies of ancient Mesopotamia. Picture the Anunnaki descending from the heavens in great luminous vessels, their forms radiant, commanding, and inscrutable. Imagine the awe of the first humans who witnessed their arrival, the mix of fear, reverence, and curiosity that must have filled the air. This was a world where the divine and the mundane coexisted seamlessly, where every action, from planting crops to digging mines, was influenced by forces far beyond human comprehension. The Sumerians recorded not only the arrival of these beings, but also their interactions with early human leaders. Kings and rulers were often portrayed as intermediaries, chosen to communicate the will of the Anunnaki, to oversee projects, and to maintain order. These figures were not merely symbolic, they were practical agents in a system that combined celestial oversight with terrestrial labor. In this sense, the origins of government, hierarchy, and bureaucracy may be closely tied to the needs and instructions of these advanced visitors. It is also worth noting that the Anunnaki's presence was not always benevolent. Some texts describe conflicts, punishments, and the exertion of control over humans who did not meet expectations. They demanded obedience, efficiency, and productivity, traits that early civilizations would need to survive and thrive. Yet even in these accounts there is a sense of structure, logic, and purpose. The Anunnaki were not arbitrary tyrants. They were operating according to objectives that we are only beginning to comprehend. Reflect on the profound implications of these ancient narratives. The Sumerians were chroniclers of history, observers of extraordinary events, and participants in a world that blended myth, technology, and divine authority. The Anunnaki descended from the heavens with a mission, organized humanity to achieve it, and left behind records that continue to intrigue, puzzle, and inspire us today. Now, take a slow, deep breath. Let your mind wander among the rivers, plains, and skies of ancient Sumer. Visualize the luminous figures descending, the bustling activity of early mining and construction, and the awe-struck humans who witnessed these events. This is a world of mystery, wonder, and the origins of civilization as we know it. We will delve deeper into the underground operations themselves, the mines, tunnels, and golden treasures that may have driven the Anunnaki's activities and influenced the course of human history for generations. Beneath the fertile plains of ancient Mesopotamia, A hidden world existed, a network of shafts, tunnels, and caverns that few humans ever saw. This was not the surface life of crops, rivers, and cities. It was a domain carved into the earth, carefully managed, and infused with purpose. According to Sumerian texts, it was here that the Anunnaki conducted one of their most important operations, the extraction of precious metals, especially gold. As you listen, let your body relax, your eyes grow heavy, and your mind drift into the quiet depths of this ancient world. Remember to like, subscribe, and comment your country and the time, as your engagement helps bring more journeys like this to life. Gold, the Sumerians wrote, was no ordinary material. In the myths and cuneiform tablets, it was called the Shining One, a substance with divine properties, capable of sustaining life, generating energy, and even connecting the earthly realm to the heavens. The Anunnaki required gold not merely as treasure, but as a resource with cosmic significance. Some scholars have theorized that gold was used in advanced technologies, possibly for energy generation, atmospheric manipulation, or even to repair the Anunnaki's celestial bodies. Others suggest that it was part of a spiritual system, a substance that bridged the material and the divine. The tablets describe large mining operations organized with precision. Workers, human and otherwise, descended into shafts that extended hundreds of meters below the surface. Enki, one of the principal Anunnaki deities, is often depicted overseeing these activities, instructing humans, and ensuring efficiency. Logs on clay tablets record daily outputs, the quality of ores, and even the tools used to extract materials. This level of detail suggests that the operations were industrial in scale, unlike anything early humans could have managed independently. Archaeologists have discovered evidence that supports the existence of ancient mining sites in Mesopotamia and surrounding regions. Certain shafts and pits, some thousands of years old, show signs of advanced extraction techniques. Stone tools and rudimentary metal implements have been found in conjunction with these mines, yet the scale and precision suggest guidance or instruction from beings with more sophisticated knowledge. Some researchers even point to tunnels that extend in patterns consistent with surveying and measurement practices far beyond the capabilities of early Sumerians. But the mines were not merely practical, they were also symbolic. The Sumerians associated underground operations with the underworld, a place where the sacred and the profane intersected. The act of mining gold was both material and ritualistic, a connection between human labor and divine intention. Some texts describe ceremonies performed before and after extraction, invoking blessings and protection from the gods and ensuring that the precious metals would fulfill their intended purpose. The organization of labor in these mines was meticulous. Humans were instructed in specific techniques, supervised by Anunnaki foremen, and rewarded or punished based on performance. Some myths describe early humans as semi-divine creations, fashioned specifically to perform these tasks. Clay tablets like the Enki and the World Order series hint at humans being taught agriculture, metallurgy, and construction, not for survival alone, but to serve a broader system designed by the Anunnaki. The tools themselves are described in ways that are remarkable. Some tablets mention instruments for lifting heavy loads, measuring mineral purity, and even devices of energy that facilitated extraction. While the exact nature of these tools remains speculative, their inclusion in the record suggests that technology, lost to human memory, played a critical role in these underground operations. It is as though the Anunnaki imparted just enough knowledge for humans to participate, while retaining control over the most sophisticated processes. The scale of these operations is further emphasized in myths that speak of entire cities constructed near resource-rich areas. Uruk, Ur, and Eridu were not only centers of civilization, they were hubs of activity related to mining and metallurgy. Canals and waterways were engineered to transport raw materials, while storage facilities safeguarded the precious metals. The Sumerians described the movement of gold from underground chambers to temples, ziggurats, and even vessels for transport, creating a network that connected labor, ritual, and celestial purpose. The Anunnaki's mining endeavors were not limited to gold. Other metals, such as copper, tin, and silver, are mentioned in texts and have been discovered in archaeological contexts. Each metal had a specific function, often tied to ceremonial or technological use. Gold, however, remained supreme. Its significance extended beyond the physical. It was a medium of communication, a link between the earthly and the cosmic, and a critical element in maintaining the systems the Anunnaki had established on Earth. Some theories propose that these mines extended far beyond Mesopotamia, reaching regions as distant as Africa, Anatolia, and the Indus Valley. Evidence of early metallurgy in these areas combined with Sumerian records suggests a network of resource acquisition that may have spanned continents. The Anunnaki, with their advanced knowledge, could have coordinated these operations across vast distances, directing human labor while maintaining oversight of precious materials. The psychological impact on early humans must have been profound. Witnessing beings of immense power overseeing their work, descending from the skies, and demanding efficiency and precision would have been both awe-inspiring and terrifying. The Sumerians' rituals, myths, and governance systems were shaped by this influence, embedding the Anunnaki's presence deeply into the cultural memory of humanity. Cuneiform texts also hint at extraordinary safety measures. Certain tablets describe ventilation shafts, supports for mining chambers, and even methods for mitigating underground hazards. It is as if the Anunnaki understood both the physical and technical risks, ensuring that their operations could continue uninterrupted. These details suggest a level of engineering knowledge that early humans could scarcely comprehend without guidance. The spiritual dimension of these activities is equally fascinating. Gold extracted from the depths of the earth was often associated with immortality, enlightenment, and divine favor. Some texts suggest that the Anunnaki used gold in ceremonies that bridged human and celestial realms, transferring energy or maintaining cosmic balance. To participate in these operations was to touch the sacred, to be part of a system that extended far beyond the simple extraction of resources. As you listen, visualize the dimly lit tunnels stretching beneath the Mesopotamian plains, humans moving carefully with tools and containers, and the Anunnaki observing with quiet authority. Imagine the weight of each golden nugget, the shimmer of light reflecting off the walls, and the rhythmic sounds of labor echoing through subterranean chambers. These were places of mystery, danger, and divine interaction, worlds within worlds, hidden from the surface but essential to the unfolding story of civilization. The combination of ritual, labor, and technology in these mining operations presents a picture that is both historical and almost cinematic. It challenges conventional views of early human society, suggesting that civilization's roots were intertwined with the needs and knowledge of beings from beyond our world. Whether the Anunnaki were literal extraterrestrial visitors, symbolic representations of natural forces, or advanced figures from a forgotten chapter of history, their impact on early mining, metallurgy, and human organization is undeniable. By understanding these operations, we gain insight into more than just material extraction. We glimpse the systems, structures, and hierarchies that shaped early human civilization. The Anunnaki's influence extended from the depths of the earth to the surface, from the practical tasks of mining to the sacred realms of ritual and worship. Every tablet, every shaft, every golden fragment tells a story of coordination, purpose, and connection between the human and the divine. Take a deep breath now and imagine the calm, steady rhythm of underground labor, the faint glow of minerals, and the presence of beings who were both mysterious and commanding. Let your mind drift along the corridors of these ancient mines, exploring the hidden heart of a civilization that existed thousands of years before modern history. Feel the connection between humanity and the forces that guided them, a delicate balance of labor, ritual, and cosmic purpose. Remember that these mines were more than mere physical spaces. They were the intersection of human effort and divine intention, a tangible manifestation of the Anunnaki's presence on Earth. The gold they extracted, the metals they refined, and the systems they created shaped not only the material world, but also the social, spiritual, and technological foundations of early civilization. We will explore the human side of this story, how early humans were shaped, guided, and perhaps even engineered to participate in these subterranean operations, and how these interactions gave rise to the first organized societies, rituals, and governance structures. Beneath the surface of early Mesopotamia, humanity was slowly awakening. Farmers tilled the land, builders raised mud brick walls, and scribes etched symbols onto clay. But, according to the Sumerian texts, there was another presence guiding these first steps of civilization, the Anunnaki. Their influence was profound, shaping not only the physical world but also the very essence of human labor, social organization, and intellectual development. As you settle into your chair or lie back, take a deep, calming breath. Let the soft rhythm of these words ease your mind. Remember to like, subscribe, and share your country and time, as your engagement helps continue these journeys into history and mystery. The Sumerians describe a fascinating narrative. Humans were created or perhaps modified by the Anunnaki to perform the work necessary for extracting precious resources from the earth. The Epic of Atrahasis tells of a time when the lesser gods, burdened with labor, grew weary of toil in the mines. To relieve them, the higher Anunnaki fashioned humans from clay, imbuing them with the breath of life. These early humans became workers, companions, and intermediaries, connecting divine purpose with earthly action. This concept of labor is central to understanding the birth of civilization. Humans were not simply surviving, they were learning, organizing, and participating in complex operations. Under the guidance of the Anunnaki, agriculture developed as a necessary means to sustain laborers. Irrigation systems were engineered to control the rivers, and settlements expanded to house growing populations. Each advancement served a dual purpose, meeting human needs while supporting the Anunnaki's subterranean and surface projects. The texts describe structured hierarchies within human society. Kings, priests, and administrators were appointed, often seen as intermediaries between humans and the gods. Their authority was derived from the Anunnaki, legitimized through rituals, offerings, and strict observance of cosmic orders. This created an early governance system where labor, resources, and knowledge were meticulously managed. Temples became centers of both spiritual guidance and practical coordination, overseeing agriculture, mining, and trade. Education, too, played a crucial role. Sumerian schools, known as Edabas, taught writing, mathematics, and law. These skills were necessary for recording transactions, managing resources, and maintaining bureaucratic systems. Yet, many scholars suggest that these educational practices may have been influenced by the knowledge imparted by the Anunnaki, passed down through generations to ensure efficiency, organization, and continuity in human society. The texts also hint at the physical and mental conditioning of humans for labor. Life was structured, duties were assigned, and tasks were measured for productivity. Some myths describe humans being guided to understand tools, techniques, and even elemental forces of nature. This was not mere survival. It was training, shaping humans into beings capable of participating in projects far beyond their natural capabilities. Religion and ritual were inseparable from work. Humans performed ceremonies before and after mining, agricultural or construction tasks invoking blessings from the Anunnaki. Offerings of grain, beer, or precious materials were made, ensuring the favor of the gods and the continuation of their protection. Work itself became sacred, a spiritual activity as much as a practical one, binding humans to divine oversight and cosmic purpose. As these systems developed, human communities grew in complexity. Villages became towns. Towns became cities, and cities became centers of trade, culture, and governance. Social structures, legal codes, and cultural norms emerged, all under the subtle guidance of the Anunnaki. The Sumerians, in their records, often portray these advancements as gifts from the gods, yet modern interpretations suggest a more practical motive: the organization of humans to efficiently fulfill labor and maintain resources. The Sumerians also believed that humans could communicate with the Anunnaki through dreams, visions, and rituals. Priests and rulers were intermediaries, often claiming divine inspiration. Some texts describe councils where humans were instructed on how to govern, how to manage labor, and how to ensure that the needs of the gods were met. This spiritual communication reinforced social order, aligning human activity with divine objectives. Technology was integrated into human labor as well. Tools for mining, agriculture, and construction were developed under guidance. Knowledge of metalworking, measurement, and engineering was passed down, often encoded in myth or ritual. The Sumerians describe these processes in meticulous detail, recording the names of materials, tools, and techniques, as if preserving knowledge for both practical and spiritual reasons. Perhaps the most profound influence of the Anunnaki on humanity was the development of consciousness and intellectual capacity. By teaching humans to organize, measure, and observe, they fostered the cognitive abilities necessary for civilization. Writing, mathematics, and astronomy were not merely academic. They were tools to manage labor, resources, and celestial cycles. The Sumerians documented these advancements as divine gifts, but the patterns suggest a deliberate shaping of human potential. Some scholars interpret these narratives metaphorically, suggesting that the Anunnaki represent the collective influence of nature, environment, and human ingenuity. Others take the texts at face value, proposing that humans were indeed created or genetically modified to serve specific purposes. Regardless of interpretation, the impact on early civilization is clear. Humans learned to work together, organize labor, and develop technologies, laying the foundations for cities, governance, and culture. The relationship between humans and the Anunnaki was not purely utilitarian. The texts describe moments of guidance, protection, and even care. Enki, in particular, is often depicted as a benevolent figure offering knowledge, warning against dangers, and fostering development. This suggests a dual dynamic. Humans were laborers and collaborators, yet they also benefited from instruction, innovation, and protection that advanced their survival and growth. Take a moment now to visualize the cities of Sumer in their early forms. Imagine the bustling marketplaces, the ziggurats rising against the sky, and humans moving in harmony with the instructions of their divine overseers. Picture the flow of labor from farms to mines, from workshops to temples, each action imbued with purpose, precision, and spiritual significance. Let the gentle rhythm of these activities guide your thoughts into calm reflection, blending curiosity with tranquility. The birth of civilization, according to Sumerian texts, was not an accident. It was a deliberate, guided process where human labor, ingenuity, and social structure were shaped by the presence of advanced beings. From agriculture to metallurgy, governance to ritual, the foundations of society were influenced by forces beyond ordinary human comprehension. This interplay of divine purpose and human action created a world where civilization could flourish, not only surviving but thriving in the fertile lands between the rivers. We have explored how humans were guided, trained, and organized to participate in the Anunnaki's work. We have seen the emergence of education, governance, ritual, and labor, all intertwined with the divine presence. These foundations created a society capable of sustaining complex projects, managing resources, and advancing knowledge, preparing humanity for the deeper mysteries of underground mining and the extraction of precious metals. Let your mind wander through the bustling streets, sacred temples, and hidden mines of Sumer. Imagine the quiet diligence of humans, guided by beings from the heavens, learning the arts of civilization while contributing to something far larger than themselves. Feel the harmony of labor, ritual, and instruction, a delicate balance between the earthly and the divine as it shaped the course of history. We will reflect on the legacy of the Anunnaki and their subterranean operations, exploring what remains today, the interpretations of scholars, and the mysterious echoes of these ancient interactions that continue to captivate our imagination. As the sun sets over the plains of ancient Mesopotamia, the story of the Anunnaki lingers in the soil, the clay tablets, and the very foundations of early human civilization. They came from the heavens, guided humans, extracted precious metals, and shaped the social, technological, and spiritual systems that would define the course of history. Yet, like whispers carried on the wind, their presence is now hidden, an echo beneath the cities, rivers, and sands. Take a slow, deep breath, letting your body relax completely. Feel the calm settle into your mind. Remember to like, subscribe, and comment your country and time so that more journeys into ancient mysteries can reach curious minds around the world. The legacy of the Anunnaki is multifaceted. First, it is visible in the material remains of early civilization, the ziggurats that reach toward the sky, the carefully planned cities of Uruk, Ur, and Eridu, and the intricate canals that irrigated the fertile lands of the Tigris and Euphrates. These achievements were not accidental. They reflect knowledge, organization, and purpose, systems that the Sumerian texts attribute to the guidance of the Anunnaki. Yet much of their legacy lies hidden beneath the surface. The ancient mining operations, the underground tunnels, and the shafts that once yielded gold and other precious metals remain largely unexplored. Archaeologists have uncovered fragments of these subterranean networks, evidence of advanced extraction techniques and signs of human labor coordinated with remarkable precision. Some tunnels appear almost too sophisticated for the era, suggesting oversight or instruction from beings with superior knowledge. These remnants hint at a system that combined practical utility, resource management, and spiritual significance, a network that shaped human society from its earliest moments. The Anunnaki's influence extended beyond physical labor. They instilled in humans concepts of order, governance, and ritual. Kings, priests, and administrators acted as intermediaries, transmitting divine instructions and managing human activity. Temples served as centers of knowledge, oversight, and spiritual practice, integrating the sacred and the practical. Education, writing, and record-keeping became essential tools for survival and advancement, ensuring that the lessons and methods of the Anunnaki endured across generations. The Sumerian texts themselves are a form of legacy, a bridge between the ancient and the modern, the earthly and the divine. Tablets describe the arrival of the Anunnaki, the organization of labor, and the extraction of gold with such detail that it reads almost like a logbook. Some scholars argue that these records preserve factual events. Others view them as mythic allegories. Regardless, the consistency of these accounts across time and place suggests a deeply rooted cultural memory, one that continues to inspire curiosity and investigation today. Modern archaeology has uncovered tantalizing hints of these hidden systems. Mines, metal artifacts, and structural remnants point to a sophisticated understanding of extraction and engineering. In some cases, the scale and organization of these sites suggest guidance from advanced knowledge, far beyond what early human societies could have developed independently. Even today, researchers debate whether these operations were purely human endeavors, symbolic myths, or evidence of a lost chapter in technological history. The spiritual and technological aspects of the Anunnaki's work were intertwined. Gold, for example, was not merely a resource, it was sacred. Some texts describe its use in rituals, in energy generation, or as a conduit between Earth and the heavens. Humans, guided by the Anunnaki, participated in these processes, contributing to a system that balanced material needs, spiritual practice, and cosmic alignment. In this way, work, worship, and knowledge were inseparable, creating a framework for civilization that was both practical and profound. One of the most intriguing aspects of the Anunnaki's legacy is their impact on human identity. According to the texts, humans were created, shaped, or guided to fulfill specific roles within these systems. Labor, learning, and ritual were designed not merely to survive, but to connect humanity to larger cosmic patterns. This suggests that civilization itself, its structure, culture, and knowledge, may have been deeply influenced by interactions with these celestial beings. The echoes of the Anunnaki's presence are found in myths, epics, and symbols across the ancient world. Stories of gods descending from the sky, of golden treasures, and of hidden knowledge appear in cultures far beyond Mesopotamia. Could these be remnants of a shared memory passed down through generations? The similarities across distant civilizations hint at a global awareness of beings who once walked among humans, shaping their labor, society, and understanding of the cosmos. As you visualize this legacy, imagine walking through the ancient cities of Sumer, observing the ziggurats, canals, and marketplaces. Picture the underground tunnels where humans once labored under the watchful eyes of the Anunnaki. Hear the faint echoes of chisels, hammers, and voices blending with ceremonial chants. Feel the weight of gold, the shimmer of precious metals, and the presence of beings whose knowledge, technology, and authority guided early humanity. The Anunnaki's story also invites reflection on the mysteries that remain. Some researchers propose that the secrets of their technology, energy use, or societal organization may have been lost, waiting to be rediscovered. Others see their influence in the foundations of law, architecture, mathematics, and governance. Even the earliest astronomical observations encoded in Sumerian texts may reflect knowledge imparted by these visitors from the heavens. In contemplating the Anunnaki, we are reminded of the delicate interplay between history and myth, between the seen and the unseen. They represent both the known and the mysterious, a bridge between the human and the cosmic. Their work, both above and below the surface, shape the world in profound ways, leaving traces that continue to captivate scholars, historians, and dreamers alike. Take another deep breath and let your mind wander among the ruins, the temples, and the subterranean chambers. Feel the quiet hum of ancient activity, the lingering presence of beings who influenced the dawn of civilization. Let this vision calm your thoughts, drawing you into a state of reflection and serenity, as if time itself slows to honor the mysteries of the past. The legacy of the Anunnaki reminds us that history is rarely simple. Civilization is not merely the result of human ingenuity, it may be the product of guidance, influence, and collaboration with forces beyond our immediate understanding. The texts, the artifacts, and the landscapes all speak of a past where humans and gods coexisted, worked together, and shaped one another in profound and lasting ways. As we conclude this journey, imagine the rivers flowing quietly through the lands of Sumer, the cities standing as silent witnesses, and the underground chambers holding secrets that may never fully be revealed. The Anunnaki's influence lingers, not just in material traces, but in the very essence of human civilization, the organization, knowledge, and curiosity that continue to define us. Carry you gently into rest. Imagine yourself descending into the calm depths of history, exploring the hidden tunnels, listening to the echoes of the past, and feeling the presence of beings who shaped humanity long before we fully understood our place on this planet.